Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings. Hope everybody is having a great day. So before we start, quick introduction. Anything we discuss, anything we talk about is just for educational purpose. Nothing is financial advice. All right, guys. Another solid day. Solid day. There were some solid movers in the morning because we prepared in the pre-market. We do our preparation. That's why we were able to execute it. We had a couple of small losers. We will talk about them as well. You will learn a lot today about the morning call setups, gap fills, and VIX strategy that we little bit, and also the MTF long setups and the daily breakout setups. So we're going to talk about all that. Before we start, let's do a quick introduction. I'm going to try to wrap up the video fast today, so I'm going to do the introduction. I'm going to go a little fast through the introduction here. So we trade a repeatable trading system in the stock market, the Ripster EMA Cloud System, which doesn't only include of the indicators and these indicator suite that I teach, but it also includes all the concepts that I've been teaching for many years on X, all the concepts and all the setups. System is how you trade, setup is what you trade. System is based upon our EMA Cloud System, and setups is our repeatable setups that we repeat again and again and again and again. Whenever we buy, long, short, whatever we do is based upon our setup, which repeats again. How do you find these setups? You make a pre-market planning. I did a free webinar on this as well last week, so hopefully you guys learn from that. Every morning in the pre-market, me and my team, we plan for the day, for the setups we're going to trade. We create a support level, a resistance level, and we create an initial game plan. As you see the game plan for today in front of you, which includes a news plays, technical setups, any technical setups which were big for us today, and then we also include any earning plays, index stocks. Any index stocks has the news, we use that. Then we also trade any upgrades on downgrades. So we make this plan. So we make a plan for that, right? So we'll go through these setups and see how, and most of our winners, most of our losers, everything we focus from our game plan in the community. So we also trade something called day 2, day 3 setups. Let's look at that. So day 2, day 3 setups is also one of the repeatable strategies that I teach, and I have done a free webinar on that as well. There's a webinar in the community if you watch my YouTube recaps teachings daily. So there were many day 2 setups. Didn't really focus on the day 2 setups today. Circle was a good one. We'll talk about that. We make a pre-market plan for these setups. We also share the daily sheet, daily levels for the traders who are trading Psych, QQQ, using Ripster Clouds. These levels are provided in the community to the traders. We also trade crypto stocks, anything related to crypto. If it moves, we trade them. We make a plan in the pre-market based upon the levels we provide. We also do futures. We trade futures. Futures levels is provided in the pre-market, and how you can trade futures with Ripster EMA Clouds. I teach you guys daily. So with all that planning in the pre-market, we are ready for the day at the market open. I'm on the voice first few hours of the market open, guiding the traders through the trades. What is a good long, what is a good short. Most of my traders are already in trade following the plan, but I will show you my timestamp guidance on all these setups, winners or losers. We are one of the largest trading communities online. We are not an alert service, but we are #1 educational trading firm. Thousands of traders are on our trading floor, one of the largest trading floors online. And we have a lot of tools. We have 3-4 option scanners. We have stock scanners. We have breaking news alerts, breaking news squawks, support resistance alerts. We have order flow screen shares. We have many screen shares in the community. All these tools are $300, $400, $500 per month, which we provide freely for the traders in our community. So that being said, let's go through the trades today. Let's see how we nailed today and how we did today on the various setups. You are going to learn exactly what I teach, what has helped me being successful over the years, and what has helped thousands of my followers and thousands of the traders to succeed with this repeatable strategy in the stock market for the trading. All right, the first one we're going to start with is Google. Let's take a look what was the plan on Google. Let's take a look here. So Google was gapping up yesterday. If you saw my yesterday's recap, I talked about that, how we traded in the after hours. So Google, let's look at our pre-market plan. Google retains Chrome. It's also bringing some chip to competition to NVIDIA. That was another news on Google. So we had 2 news on Google's. So Google support 220, 250, resistance 228, 230. All-time high breakout. Only long the pullback holds. No go under 225.50. So we have a clear defined level. That's the first level we need to identify when we're going to buy the stock. The breakout is over 230, a little extended, so that's why we're going to wait. And you could trade the leverage ETF GGLL. We will talk about that as well. So that was our plan. With that plan, we were ready to trade Google at the open. So let's take a look our timestamp guidance here on Google. So Google, I waited a little bit, first few minutes, and then as soon as I saw that Google is pushing over this level, that 227, 228 level, and it held this level. And I told the traders 512 call longs use 224 stops. So if you're adding at 227, 226, that's your stops at 224, or you can have a little higher stops. So as we started to push up, by 10 a.m. we pushed to 231. From the 227s we pushed to 231s, and remember that was a pre-market planning. Then I told the traders to move the stops up at 226. So we have moved our stops to 226 right now, and you see that Google pulled back 512s, retesting this support, held it. We do not close until we break the 512 clouds. Google pushed to 230 again, little choppy trend. You could buy the pullbacks on 512, pulled back again, pulled to 231 again. So basically it gave the same returns that it gave in the morning, but it did give you a couple of chances to get long on Google. And and then we finally exited the day trade when it broke this 512s. You can see that we moved our stops to 227, then we moved our stops to 228. If you respected the 228 stops, you could also swing it, and it's up nicely at 233. So that was a Google trade this morning for us. Nothing crazy, but this was your 512 call around 227 area. You could make $2 to $3. Google took most of the meat on the yesterday's move, so not a huge trade, but decent trade. We'll be watching on a day 2 setup as well. This is how you get in right here at the open, or you can get on this candle, or you're gonna get this 10 a.m. pullback, putting your stops under those levels. All right, so next one we're going to look at is HIMS. Let's take a look at what was happening with the HIMS here today. So today I'm going a little fast to go somewhere. So let's take a look at HIMS. What was the plan? HIMS was our technical long setup. I gave HIMS technical long setup, 1 hour MTF setup. It's also had some news from yesterday, but for me it was also 1 hour MTF setup. Long the pullback, no go under 42. Watch the volume. This was a planning I gave. Clean levels were given to my traders. As soon as the market opened, I saw that HIMS started to break out from this MTF cloud. So this is the MTF cloud. So you buy the shares. I was a little late, but my traders were already long. But even when I saw the strength pushing higher, I told the traders to long here right at 44 area, stops at 43. You risk $1, buy 1,000 shares. You risk $1. You're risking $1,000. By end of the day, we hit 45. Right. So there's a decent trade on HIMS. Nothing crazy, but we did get a decent move. A lot of traders were long already on HIMS, so that's why traders were doing really good on HIMS today. EJK was 100% on HIMS. You see the setup. This is how you find the setup. That's what I'm trying to teach you. It was an MTF long. If you long right at the open, your risk is right under here. If you long little later, then your risk need to be higher. But you can see that from the pre-market planning how well the HIMS trade worked. 42,440. You saw the resistance break. You get back in. Good volume. You take it all the way to 45.67. You exit when this breaks. Nice trades all day long for us. HIMS. Let's go to the next one. So there was another technical setup. You will never find these setups if you don't prepare. My team members, Vinod from my team, did make a nice plan on this. My plan on this Reddit. You can see it was a daily breakout setup. Bullish to neutral, long over 228. That was the plan. So as soon as it pushes over 228 on Reddit, you long it. So you long it, but it was a huge move. It moved from 228 to 239, almost full percent ATR. This was the amateur move. Now if you're adding here, your risk is higher because there was no news. It was a technical breakout setup. But the problem with this setup was the breakout happened right at the open. So the first 10 minutes it hit 239. right? So a lot of the traders were already long on Reddit. It was this technical daily breakout that the traders were long, and it hit there. So now we did try to see if it holds the pullback, but a lot of the traders gave back the profit because it did not hold 512, and we exited here, right? So I did say that Reddit has little flag here, but we failed the flag on Reddit, and you can see that RGV was already long from 226s, and he took it from 226, 227 all the way to 239. Even if you added 100 shares, that was $1,000 trade right there. It was a beautiful 1 hour breakout. Too bad it failed. But here's the thing, you cannot add away from the clouds. Your entry has to be right here. The point I'm trying to show you that how the pre-market planning works. You plan for a trade, you get in at the open, trade the open. So next one, we're going to look at Tesla. So let's see what was the plan on Tesla, and then we'll go through Tesla here. Let's take a look. What was the plan on Tesla? So Tesla, initially it was bearish, right? So I told the traders, do not long it. You can see that MTF reject and gap fill. I told the traders right at the open that it's going to fill the gap. Gap is right from the yesterday's closing price, and it did fill the gap. Then it bounced from that gap fill and bounce. Still nothing. I don't like to trade those C minus setups. Then our long came when it pushed over this cloud, and that's when I told the traders. Initially some trader asked me, I told you can put the stops at 331 or 332. So once I saw that MTF breakout and 512 calls at 336, I told the traders to put the stops at 340. So let's take a look. So I told the traders to put the stops at 334. You see here, stops at 334. The targets I gave was 338 and 340. Those are the two target I gave. So you're buying at 336, you're risking $200 on 100 shares. We hit 338 target, then we hit 340 target. We did not close. We actually went on to run 343s, and then we finally closed when we broke here at 512s. That's where a lot of our traders shorted it. You could short it back from this 512s all the way to the MTF clouds. You could make from that timestamp guidance a $6 per share profit upside. Then you could easily make, this both are my repeatable setups. This is the 512 calls an MTF breakout long setup. You can repeat it for your life. And this is the 512 midday short setup. If the market is heavy, more chances of this short setup to work. So that was Tesla here, guys. Pre-market planning was on spot. You can see that we had Tesla pre-market plan here. 1 hour MTF breakout. I already gave this plan in the pre-market. We did not get the long right at the open, but we did get this setup middle of the day, and that's how we were able to nail Tesla MTF breakout long. Next one, we're going to look at Zscaler. Zscaler was our earning plays. We planned in the pre-market, but this big red candle in the pre-market kind of spoiled our play. Let's take a look here. So Zscaler plan was, it was a double MTF, long only over yesterday highs and the MTF. No go under double MTF. I told the traders, and as you see, it's breaking the double MTF. You can use my MTF indicators. They're free to use. Go to Ripster Education, you can find them. So this big candle spoiled the setup. So as soon as I opened, I told the traders to short the pops. So short the pops were working. Excuse me. So Zscaler, we put our stops at 272s. You have to short it right away when you're shorting it. But what happened was Zscaler popped 264s, then dropped again to 261s. Now it started to make higher lows. It hit our low of the day at 950. I told the traders to cover. We always try to make profits at 10 a.m. But when the 10 a.m. bounce came, I told the traders the stops are still 512s. If stops are wide, reduce your position. You have to see that the stops are too wide. If you are shorting right here at the first candle, you are doing pretty good. You short the right first candle, right? And 930 is right at the open. You are making nice. But if you're shorting here, you have to start reducing your position because our stops are too high. So anyways, didn't really work too much. It was just the opening scalp long. So, sometimes you get a home run and sometimes you have to manage your risk. And Zscaler was so much gap here, so you have to manage your risk. And we closed our short when it pushed over 512s. Some trader did the 512 calls to 34.50. So this trade was not a perfect trade, but we were able to short it into 10 a.m. right? And then you need to cover in the 10 a.m. So it was a nice decent pop, but would have loved a bigger fade. but we got spoiled. If I got this short right here, we would have gotten like a $16 per share profit on that short. But you could see that Zscaler took a lot of the meat out, and this was the pop I was talking about. You pop short the pop 266, take it back to 261, move your stops, break even, and then get out when it pushes over it. So DLTR was our loser earning play today. Let's take a look here. Why was a DLTR a loser? Let's take a look. It did give us a lot of chances to get out. Let's take a look on DLTR. So DLTR, we wanted to short, but the first big candle is always a problem. The first big candle dipped to the 98 and then swiped back up. We tried to short the pops at 512s right here, and then it dipped and again held that lows and curled, and we go down, took a loss. You can see that I told the traders to only short the 512 pops. We shorted the 512 pops. We put our stops at 103. We got enough chance to get out from this 103 rejection. It did flush to 100 again, but 100 is always a problem. Whenever 100 holds, you need to watch that. You need to watch that 100, and because the psychological level, there's buyers here, and that's when we stopped out of DLTR. I told the traders stop out. 512 calls were versus 100 150. They did push to 104. You could scalp a little bit, but it was not a good setup today. Definitely very choppy. So I'll be watching it tomorrow for day 2 setup.
So next one we're going to look at is Macy's. So let's check out Macy's here. So Macy's, let's look at our game plan here in the pre-market. Let's take a look at our game plan. The game plan on Macy's, another earning play for us, extended in the pre-market, bullish to neutral bias versus 15 key level. So we wanted to long it versus 15 key level. Let's take a look how Macy's worked out for us. So Macy's pushed right out of the gate. It pushed right out of the gate. It triggered the longs right over that. Let's look at our resistance level on Macy's. The resistance was 1560. So if that breaks, we're gonna push higher. So as soon as it pushed the 1560, it was a long right at the open, and it pushed to 1640. It pulled back to the 1580s. Then it again tried to push higher, but it made lower highs. So it made lower highs. So you see that after 10 a.m. it never made a new high. So whenever a stock needs to be all-day runner, like we get so many all-day runners, we need the stock to make a new high after 10 a.m. So my guidance on it was that it triggered the long, the stops are right around 1580, 1590, and we need a breakout over the 1640. It did pull back 1590, and then it again pushed towards the 1620, but it made a lower high, then it broke out and stopped us out. So in this case, when you see this lower high coming in, you have to move your stops up so that you're getting out break even or lower. Now further away from the clouds you add, I can go to the smaller time frame, bigger is your risk. So you see that it did give a pullback to 1590 area, and then it pushed another 30-40 cents. If you have 1,000 shares, you're risking a couple $100. You're trying to make $400-500 here. This is not the trade we really want to do. So this was a scratch trade for us because it really did not break out for us. Now we don't want to be adding up here on the top. If you miss the long entry at the open, you just leave it alone. So that was Macy's today, nothing special. So let's go to the next one. So next one we're going to look at is OSCR. OSCR was also one of our main high watch plays, a cult stock. They reaffirmed the guidance for 2025 trade versus 1 hour MTF cloud. So the setup was, as it breaks out of 1660, you take it long versus the 1 hour MTF cloud. So let's see how this panned out OSCR today. So let's take a look, and you see that again 1 hour MTF breakout. So what was that? 1 hour MTF breakout, MTF long. That was the MTF long. And if you see the difference between Macy's and the OSCRs, you see that after 10 a.m. it made another high and it continued to push MTF long. Our target was 1750, and we did hit our 1750 target later in the day, and then finally stopped us out right here at 1750. We got out here. It did reclaim, pushed again, but the main trade was the long right out of the gate on 1 hour MTF long, and you push it higher and take it long. So we'll be watching it for a day 2 as well. over 18, but that was the OSCR trade this morning. So next one we're going to look at is Circle. So let's take a look at Circle. So Circle was a day 2 setup, number 1 day 2 setup. The day 2 setup is strategies to play versus the cloud. The support was 121, resistance was 123. So the plan I gave in the pre-market, long versus 123. If it does not hold that, you short below that level, and of course if 120 breaks down, you short as well on that area. So you see that it never could push over 123. It broke out under that 121. It broke out under 120 as well and faded all the way to $16. So Circle was a nice day to short as per our game plan in the pre-market. As you see, the 120 breaks, it goes lower. So it was a beautiful short. I mean, it's so heavy. I'm not looking at for bounce on Circle any for now. But this is where we stopped out when it bounced over 512s. You see that this is your time to get out of that short trade. So let's take a next one here. So next one we're going to take a look at AVGO. So let's see what was our plan on AVGO today. So AVGO, I added to the game plan this morning. It was our technical setup. It was a day 2 setup, ran a lot yesterday, over 300. So plan was long over 300, no go under, watch these semiconductors. So in the morning, there was no long. So I did not tell the traders to long it. But when AVGO pushed higher of 300, this is where you long it. And at the same time, QQQ was breaking out, and that it ran from the 300 to 304. Again, the market pulled back, market was choppy. So it was going to run with the semiconductor. So then even that one we had to stop out. But there was a decent trade to be made from 300, 301 to 304 scalp trade today. Let's look at our other earning play. I didn't guide this one, but let's see how our pre-market planning worked out. RVG sales up on year-on-year basis. Bullish bias to long, the cloud pullback at all-time highs. So let's take a look on RVG. So the first candle was pretty heavy. We did not touch it, and then it broke 512, became a gap and crap, pulled back right to the MTFs. Did give a midday long over this 3450. That's where you long it and pushed a little higher. Another one. So not a lot of earning plays, didn't really give us a lot of big runners today, but there are definitely some moves to trade off. So let's see what SPY QQQ did today. SPY QQQ was, there was nothing really in the morning. It was very choppy action. We did get a breakout middle of the day. I did tweet out this breakout. Let me show you here. So we had this range, right? So this was our range in the morning. So you see that QQQ was my main focus. And you see that how QQQ broke out of that range. Let's see if I can show you here. Let's see if I can show you that. So I did tweet out that the SPY QQQ is range bound. This is the range, and it did break out. If I go show you my next tweet here, you see that we did break out of that. And that was our long setup on that QQQs. Here's the breakout. Rest of the day I told the traders watch the VIX and watch the breakout, and this breakout was a good trade from the 10 a.m. QQQ 512 curls. And that's when a lot of the things pushed. Tesla pushed, AVGO pushed, because those are the index names they're going to push with the market. Now, what happened later in the day was I told the traders keep eyes on the VIX, because if VIX does not break the 17, your short is not going to work, and that's exactly what happened. VIX rejected 17, and you got this end of the day curl setup, right? So that's called end of the day 512 curl setup. You can see where the QQQ is bouncing. So that's what I told the traders, that when this long failed right here on SPY QQQ, it was a failed range breakout. That's when I told the traders just exit, right? So you see that 1120 we exited 512s. VIX bounce versus 17. You know, we can watch it later. If the VIX bounces 17, we can watch it later. But you see that faded 512 breaks, faded all the way, and then when VIX rejected 17, at that time you see that VIX could not push over 17 resistance, and that's when you got this bullish squeeze on SPY QQQ, end of the day, huge squeeze. So yeah, so that was the story of SPY and QQQ. There's no real trade there on SPY all day. I didn't really like it. QQQ did give this breakout long setup, and then did give, you could short it if you want, but I was not interested. This was the chop zone. You need to know your chop zones. And then we did get our 512 push right at the end of the day. So that was the day today, guys. We had few losers and few MTFs. It was all about MTFs today. MTF gave us some good trades. Hopefully, you learned a lot about these MTF setups, and make sure you use these teachings in your next trades. Thank you.